Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Reason We Learn and another episode of Words of Wokism. This is number 27, Mindset. So, you hear this a lot in education these days. They'll talk about wanting to help your children have a growth mindset. You'll hear that a lot in conjunction with growth. They don't often tell you what kind of mindset they don't want them to have. They'll just say, we want them to have a growth mindset, or we're going to work on their mindset. And it all sounds really good when they describe it. And I'm going to explain why it sounds really good. And then I'm going to challenge you to look deeper and examine the evidence as to whether that's what they're really doing or whether they are doing something completely different. First and foremost, let's look at what mindset is or what it means. I personally find the word attitude to be superior, but mindset has a definition. And it's one of the things I think we parents should be most concerned about in terms of our government schools trying to work on it explicitly as opposed to, working within it. And I'll explain what I mean in a moment. So, a mindset is an established set of attitudes of a person or group concerning culture, values, philosophy, frame of mind, outlook, and disposition. It may also arise from a person's worldview or beliefs about the meaning of life, right? A person can have multiple mindsets, while the most common ones are often cited as the growth and fixed. Now, those are with regard to learning, but you just heard it can also include your worldview and your beliefs about the meaning of life, or let's say the purpose of government, or the purpose of your country, or the purpose of rights. I mean, could be a lot of different things. And to the extent that you operate within it, within that mindset, it becomes very, very important. I'll give you an example. Eric Erickson, the psychologist, analyzed group identities and what he called a life plan as relevant to a collective mindset. It would be a mindset held by a group of people who identified as sharing a certain worldview or, a culture. Okay. He cited Native Americans who were meant to undergo a re education process by none other than our government to instill a modern life plan, which advocated housing and making money, having a job, and things like that, because the natives' collective historical identity had been as bison hunters, and it was oriented around very different motivations than communicating about life plans, least of all as standalone individuals. They existed as tribes. They existed in collectivist societies. Very, very different worldview and set of beliefs that is a massive culture clash with the Western European individualist egalitarians that founded this country. And when I say egalitarian, I don't mean in the equity sense. I mean, hey, you're all politically equal, but you're also, equally responsible to take care of yourself. Have fun with that. So if you are accustomed to living in a tribal society, following a herd or following, animals or whatever, and that's just how you function, and you can no longer function that way, your whole sense of the world and how it works and your purpose in life is challenged. So in this case, the government sought to re-educate the people to have a different mindset. Now, fast forward to 2024, or the past however many years they've been talking about mindset in schools. And just keep that in the back of your mind as we discuss growth and fixed mindset and also some of the lessons that are coming up in schools that claim to deal with mindset, things like social emotional learning. Okay. So, in its simplest terms, a growth mindset has to do with your theory, your personal theory or view of intelligence, learning, those kinds of, cognitive competencies. It's usually where it's learned or what it means. And basically people with a growth mindset, and I don't like this term. I'm going to give it a different definition in a minute because I think it'll help you understand it better. Um, According to this theory, believe that intelligence can be developed and abilities can be developed by learning. These are the type of people with this kind of mindset are said to embrace challenges, persevere in the face of adversity, not treat failure as final, those kinds of things, realize that they need to pay closer attention and that they can do better and they should apply some practice and so forth and they will, they can grow. And this wouldn't just apply to academic learning. This would apply to all kinds of things, how you are in terms of your friendships and relationships, your skill at anything. And they call that a growth mindset, believing you can do better, or at least you can try harder, or that even if you can't, despite a bunch of tries and so forth, that it's not the end of the world. Okay. And a fixed mindset believes that intelligence is static, little can be done to improve your ability. Feedback is always seen as like a judgment or an evaluation of something underlying. They can't be changed. There are constraints. You're limited by, either internal factors like I'm not smart enough or external factors like, oh, wait, systemic racism, like wealth inequality, like color of skin, gender identity, sexual orientation. So you'll forgive me if I'm ever so slightly cynical when it comes to public schools, government schools, even private schools at this point, talking about how they want to instill a growth mindset. They want to challenge a fixed mindset. But you do realize that you're held back by systemic racism, right? You do realize that you're an oppressor because of the color of your skin, right? You do realize that you have privilege, right? So I just find it, like a little bit ironic that the same people who want you to believe that intelligence is not static and that our ability to do well comes from within, not from without, and that if we just persevere and try harder and we can grow, we can do better. They're the same people who will be giving the mixed message to the same children in their care that, society is hopelessly white supremacist and we have to struggle every single day against it to check our privilege and confront our biases and confront our fragility and all of these other things that they claim to exist but cannot measure, can't point to. And it's a Kafka trap that whenever you say it's not there or I don't see it or where's the evidence, that's proof that it's there, is that you deny that it's there. So, it's just, I don't know how you instill growth mindset in somebody when you're so busy telling them that the whole world is against them and has always been, and that the world is divided into systems of power and privilege. So that leads me to believe that the mindset they actually want to believe, they want our kids to believe, is a collective mindset. They use the term growth mindset because it sounds better. And if you look it up, it'll be like, yeah, that sounds really good. And they don't expect that you're going to stop and think about it and say that contradicts literally every other message the school is giving my child about their opportunities in life. Because remember, the kids who need growth mindset the most would be, it's just a fact, those kids who are, let's say, born into, less wealth, or they have a single parent, they don't, they're in poverty, maybe they're homeless, maybe they're a refugee, so there are all kinds of factors, on that intersectional scale of where they put them as disadvantaged or marginalized, allegedly. I think we can agree they are starting at a place where they have certain kinds of hurdles to overcome the kids who come from upper middle class or even middle class families may not have, but it does not then follow that they don't have a growth mindset just because of that. But we probably shouldn't interfere and jump in on top of any struggles they might have based on some of the demographic realities that they're dealing with and say, life is extra hard for you because you're marginalized and those people over there who have things, they don't like you. There's systemic racism. They're born on third base and they didn't deserve to get there. And obviously they're not saying these things in exactly these words, but we've seen the lessons, we've seen the privilege walks, we've seen the way they are talked about. We have to save them from white supremacy. Their voices need to be heard. The message is pretty clear. You keep using words marginalized enough times around kids, it's going to sink in. There's an invisible wall against me. How about that pretty little wall that they put up all over schools that show the kids like trying to see the baseball game? Yeah, they put that in full view of children. That's not just for teachers. equity if you're not getting what you need and come and ask for it on these. So the implication is if you're not doing well, there's some external reason for it. Somebody's against you. But growth mindset, it just doesn't work for me. What it sounds a whole lot more like is that the schools are trying to change our children into having a collective mindset where we all have obligations to each other. We are not individuals. We need to look out for each other. We need to be, have a social awareness, as Castle says. Our social and emotional skills need to be transformative. We need to transform the culture. The WF is telling it to us all the time. Global citizenship education, I just covered last Monday on Dissident Dispatch. Kids need to see themselves as citizens of the globe, as global citizens, not as citizens just of nation states. They now have to have obligations to people on the other side of the planet. I don't know. Should I drink this glass of water? Somebody might need it in Kenya. I mean, if you're going to push for global citizenship, transformative social emotional learning that tells a child that individualism and individual goals, individual pursuits, internal motivations are selfish, and you need to first be sensitive and culturally aware and socially aware, be self-aware of your biases so you can be more culturally aware and so forth and sensitive, then how is that not literally cultivating not only a collectivist mindset where you are no longer capable of even identifying yourself outside of the collective, where you see every criticism of a group identity or behavior of a group as a personal affront and threat, existential threat to your existence. Somebody somewhere who I identify with in my tribe is being criticized. That is violence. That's a collectivist mindset. That's setting my attitudes about values, philosophy, frame of mind, worldview, and disposition towards the group, the one I identify with, or maybe the 2, 3, 4 I identify with. And certainly setting my mindset and attitudes and values against the groups I don't identify with. And believing, because it's also a set of beliefs, this mindset, that they are the reason for any failure on my part. Any problems that I have, it's because of their fascism and their bigotry and their getting in my way and their oppression. That is collectivist mindset, quite literally. There's nothing growth oriented about it, except in terms of growth of the state that you're going to demand to come and do your bidding, to keep the existential threat of those bad guys who are making it impossible for me to succeed, because growth doesn't reside within me and my perseverance and practice and working hard. It's a matter of getting other people to do what I want and give me their stuff. So yeah, I don't believe it. It's not growth mindset. Growth mindset would have all of our students saying, "Stop teaching me CRT because I'm fine. I can do this. I don't need all these crutches and equity stuff, and I don't need to have other people feel bad so that I can succeed. I don't need all these people genuflecting in my general direction or apologizing to me constantly and asking how they can help." That's not a growth mindset. And the reason I think attitude is superior to mindset is I don't like the set part. Set is a problem. Now, even as I speak about having an individualistic mindset, I don't even like that term. I don't have an individualistic mindset. I don't have an objectivist mindset, even though that's pretty much the philosophy I align with. I have certain values and principles against which I measure incoming new information and my experiences to decide what I think, about the world, myself in it, what to do next, and decide then after I've figured out how I think about it, because I should probably make sure I have the right facts at my disposal. Then, ideally, not perfect at it, obviously, I have to work at this. I choose how I'm going to feel about it because I don't want to have feelings that don't align with reality. That would seem to be a waste of time at minimum, possibly dangerous at worst. So, and often self-defeating. And I'm guilty of it. We all are. We're human beings. Nobody's perfect. But the goal for me is to evaluate the world through open eyes and using reason and logic and facts first and foremost, trying to challenge my perceptions and so forth, but at an individual basis. As far as my worldview goes, I just have an attitude that it's mine to decide, and that, you know, I am going to defend that. That's my attitude. Now, I try to have a positive attitude about life that, yeah, things could always be worse. I'm grateful for what I have, things like that. But I'm not set in my mind that way. I'm very committed to my principles. I'm very committed to my values. But that's commitment. Those are principles. Those are values. It's not a mindset. I don't, and some psychologists would probably come along and say, yes, you do. You have a mindset. You're just not aware of it. It's there. Okay, well, then if I do, it is that individualistic one. It's the one that says, I am me and I am in charge of my life and I'm responsible for my choices. And no one is like arbitrarily standing in my way except possibly the guys with the guns, the government. Not much you can do about that. They literally have police power. Government is force. But beyond that, I probably can do my level best to work around most other things except my physical reality. I am female. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and be male. I am 57. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and be 27. There's certain things I can't change. No amount of drugs, no amount of surgery, no amount of anything is going to change certain realities. So if I have a mindset, I guess it would be I accept reality. I try to be based. Okay. Um, but we're not teaching that in school. We're not teaching kids how to be based in reality. We don't even teach them about reality all that much. If you're going to start at age 3 or 6, depending on what state you're in, asking a child their pronouns, you're not based in reality and you're not trying to teach anyone to be. So the mindset that you seem to want to cultivate is very, very much one of a collective shared dogma. I would even go as far as to take cult-like worldview where there is no questioning it. It is what it is, and if you don't like it, then you are sick, and there is something wrong with you, and maybe we should refer you out for some kind of mental health treatment. But nowhere in that is growth mindset. That is a very, very fixed mindset on the part of the school, on the part of the culture of education that is teaching these kids in those schools. So next time you hear somebody at your child's school talking about teaching growth mindset, ask them how that squares with DEI. How does a child believe in their own internal power to do better tomorrow while they're also spending a good part of their day studying about power and privilege and how fixed it is, how rigid it is, and how it won't change unless other people do the work. And the work needs to be done forever. It will never end. In fact, we need to just decolonize everything. And then we need to talk about some degrowth, which will be the next word I do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you don't have degrowth and growth mindset in the same country. So that's mindset. That's why I hate it. That's why I don't trust it. That's why I challenge it. And so should you. That's all for today. I will see you next time for degrowth on Words of Wokism. Have a good one.